I don't remember exactly what compelled me to rush out and buy Pokemon Red before the craze began, but I vividly recall the day I went to Toys R Us after school and picked it up. I got to Mount Moon in one sitting and promptly turned off the game, forgetting to save. What a first day. From there I'd go on to collect all 151, hosting all sorts of local trainer parties as the resident link cable owner and Pokemon master. It's one of my most played games, and it's the main reason why I'm always willing to give a new entry a shake. Pokemon Let's Go isn't for everyone, but from the perspective of someone who recently became a parent, this is going to be the perfect entry point for some. Let's Go serves as a bridge between the more casual Pokemon Go and the mainline series. Remember how Pokemon Yellow sort of retrofitted the anime? Let's Go is like a supercharged version of that. I'm talking Team Rocket with Jesse James Meowth shenanigans, the whole 9 yards. That's awesome in theory, but this dynamic duo is going to really confuse some long-term fans. It's basically an alternate Generation 1 journey, complete with small geographic and narrative twists. Let's Go is also a bit of an odd duck as far as its control scheme goes. Let's Go completely removes Pro Controller support in favor of adding a new object into the mix, the Pokeball Plus. Now I sorely miss the Pro Controller. It's one of the best controllers on the market right now, but I did have access to the one-handed device for the review, and it grew on me. That tiny little bit where the Pokeball button is, that's an analog stick that presses in for menu confirmations and world exploration. The top button opens the menu. Given that Pokemon games are RPGs with a heavy emphasis on turn-based combat, it made sense why it would work. I wanted to play roughly half the game with it, finishing the rest in portable mode and with the Joy-Con. So there are 3 aspects of the Pokeball Plus. The aforementioned controller option, the chance to place the creatures in the ball and walk around with them, Pokewalk or anyone, and Pokemon Go connectivity. The walking aspect is a cute little extra, and tapping the ball to cue a Poke voiceover is a nice touch. Just know that the little thing is a whopping $50 USD, and is basically only applicable to Let's Go, so maybe don't get too excited. I sincerely felt the hit of not using the Pro Controller, and if you do opt for the Joy-Con, only one is supported, and in the upright position. Now if this was Bayonetta, I'm sure people would be angry to no end. But again, it's Pokemon. I can make do. It also comes with a Mew, if that gets you going. Digging a little deeper, I'll get the big nope out of the way. Open world battles don't exist as they're just capture encounters, not unlike the ones you'd find in Pokemon Go. I get that it's not going to appeal to people who wanted a full 3D Generation 1 remake, but there's an upside. Taking the focus off wild battles seems trivial, but it cuts out the grinding, a mentality you slowly adapt to while playing Let's Go. I lament that there were fewer chances to try out my Pokemon in the wild, and that the strategy of whittling down their health for a greater capture chance is now reduced to chucking berries. But it's a give and take. That streamlined approach gives way to universally positive improvements. Pokemon are kept in a convenient bag without the need to go to boxes to swap out party members. Really good Pokemon like Butterfree, a straight-up Butterfree fully evolved, can be caught very early on in the Viridian Forest as opposed to raising a Caterpie and Metapod, including the starter Pokemon, and that's great. I know a ton of people are going to espouse the virtues of leveling up Pokemon from level 1 to 100 and how you should earn evolutions, but this is not that kind of game. Mechanical talk aside, I think everyone is going to fall in love with Let's Go's aesthetics. Kanto is a delightful Arcadia and has never looked this good. Watching the camera pan over the quiet hamlet of Palatown gets the nostalgia endorphins going, but Let's Go's sleek visuals sell all of those familiar locations. Game Freak also nails the scale of each Pokemon and made it feel more like the anime. Seeing a gigantic Onix tower over his foes is something else. The same goes for the random environmental cuteness like napping Meowths. It all adds flavor to the world. Its sense of scale is its biggest strength. Gym battles more accurately mirror the anime with their grand halls and random trainers, even throwaways are more emotive. As far as the big picture is concerned, there is some wasted potential. No Pokemon Bank connectivity at launch, or possibly ever, is a bummer. Especially when Game Freak and Nintendo are collectively asking you to catch the same Pokemon that have been around for ages. You can nab alone forms through Pokemon Go, but that's not a big incentive. The ability to play Pokemon Let's Go in the Switch's portable mode is fantastic, thus not betraying the original Pocket Monster mantra, but you can't help but think that some basic features we've come to expect from the series were held back in favor of a more explosive entrance for the next mainline entry. I can't believe it took Game Freak over 20 years to give us an RPG-oriented console Pokemon game, but with the ever-changing mobile landscape and the success of the Switch, the opportunity finally presented itself. No, Let's Go is not a mainline entry that the EV/IV min-maxers hoped for, but that's still on the way. If you happen to miss this return to Kanto, that's perfectly fine, but I was mostly delighted to go back. But for all things Pokemon, reviews, news, and more, be sure to head on over to Destructoid.com.